started. Okay,
Okay.
so we're going to be on page 67. Okay, in
67.
your
Okay.
grammar book. Yep, 67.
Okay.
You have it, and you need a pen or a pencil too.
Pen pencil. This one's good. Okay. Okay.
Okay, here we go. Oops, let me make sure you can see that. Looks a little dark. There we go. Let's see.
Found.
A little better. Okay. Page 67, we're talking about homophones. We've talked about these before. Homo means same and phone means sound, so same sound. These words sound exactly the same, but they're spelled differently and they have different meanings, different definitions. Okay. Look at the
Okay.
end of that little paragraph there. You see where it says two, two,
Two,
and
two,
two,
two, two.
two,
Yeah.
two, two. They
Yeah.
all
So
sound the same.
two is if I'm writing a letter, it's like from me to you.
Oh, that's a good example. So
And
yeah, so
then
to, that's a preposition or part of an infinitive. So here's a couple examples. To the left, like turn to the left here or something like that. To, and then to escape.
like
Escape is like, and it's a verb, right? To escape is
yeah, it's
a
like
verb.
to get out of here.
Yeah, to get out of here, exactly. But if you use the word to before it changes it to what's called an infinitive. That's just what they call it in English. So to escape is an infinitive. So
Hmm.
whenever you see that to, those are the two different ways it can be used, like a preposition or an infinitive. And then this one,
Two
two,
is like a number.
a number. Two soldiers means two soldiers, one, two. And then too is an adverb meaning
Like
also, or
I
hold on just a second, or to an excessive degree. So look at the two examples. Had it too, meaning like if you have a cold and your sister had it too, it means she had it also, right? Or your brother or
yeah,
whoever. Yeah. And
yeah.
then too long means like excessive, meaning like the drive to the mountains was too long. It took too long,
Yeah,
right?
it's almost like forever.
Almost like forever. Yeah. So too. So they're going to put these words wrong on purpose just for you to fix. Okay. So you have to find the ones that are incorrect. All you're going to do is draw a line through it like that and write it the correct way above it and then label it whatever it is. Okay. So look at this example down here. Two palace guards ran up to the princess. So they're talking about the number two here. There's two palace guards. So that's why they cross that out and put TWO. And because that tells how many, that becomes an adjective. It's telling about the guards, and that's the noun, right? So it's telling about how many guards there are. And then this one, see how they underlined it? That's because it's a prepositional phrase to the princess. And that too is just TO
The princess.
to the princess. Yep. All right. Now we're going to talk about quotation marks. That's when somebody's speaking in the story. It's what they're saying. Yep. And I use that sometimes too, the little, my fingers like that.
Yeah,
So
because they're like they're like little things you put in your writings when
yeah,
someone's talking.
exactly. It's called quotation marks. They indicate words are spoken. So see this word quote, that means what they said. Right here it says, I want the gold. It kind of sounds like King Midas to me right here. I want the gold, right? And then you see the word attribution. That means who's saying it and how they're saying it. So it says, the princess declared. The princess said it, and then how she said it, she declared it. Okay. So I want the gold, the princess declared. So the quote is the sentence in the quotation marks, and the attribution is the person speaking and the speaking verb. If the quoted sentence makes a statement, place a period inside the closing quotation mark unless the attribution follows. So let me explain that. Olivia is coming in, so I'm going to let her in. You're not the only one anymore.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't gonna be the only one here.
So here's an example right here. Hi, Olivia. She's logging in still, I think. You see how they kind of show you the pattern right here where it says attribution. Oh, there she is. Hi, Olivia.
Hi.
We're on page 67, okay? Okay, we're looking at the quotation marks, and I recorded this so you can go back and listen to what you missed later, okay? Attribution is like who's speaking, and then the quote is what they say. So notice the punctuation though right here. It says if the attribution comes first, you put a comma and then what they say. And do you see that little tiny period right there? It's on the inside of the quotation mark. That's how you put it when you write it. If the quote comes first, you put a comma there instead of a period. And then the attribution, and that's who's saying it and how they're saying it. Okay, so they're showing you where the commas and periods go. If the attribution is first, comma, and then quote, period. If the quote's first, quote, comma, attribution, period. And then look at this one, it has a question mark. Like if they're asking a question, it's going to be who's asking the question, comma, and then the quote with a question mark inside the quotation mark there. If it's backwards, then if the quote comes first, the question mark goes inside right here, and then the attribution. What I'm doing is just going through the punctuation when you write a story that has speaking parts, because we're going to do some coming up pretty soon, where there's characters talking to each other. And you have to know where the periods go and where the question mark goes and how it's all laid out. There's one more example here with an exclamation point. Like if the character says, watch out, exclamation point, right? That goes on the inside of the quote too. But if the attribution comes first, there's a comma, then the quote with the exclamation point, or the quote with the exclamation point first, and then the attribution. And look down here at the example. The soldier exclaimed, "The princess took it." And here's where they show you where to put that exclamation mark. It goes on the inside, on the left side of the quotation mark at the end. Okay, let's turn the page here. And there's nothing on the back, which is kind of nice. So let's go on to page 69. And Olivia, could you read that sentence for us, please? Page 69.
Happy birthday. The soldier observed the princess for too long.
Okay, good. The word is observed. That means to watch something really carefully. You guys probably know that. When you observe something, you're looking at it or you're watching it. So go ahead and put a check by vocabulary and then find the articles by yourself. And then I almost called you Noah. Jonah. Jonah, when you're ready, tell us where the three nouns are.
Soldier,
Good,
princess,
good.
and long.
Good. That was kind of tricky for too long. And that's because it's part of a prepositional phrase. So we'll look at that again in a minute. I want to skip down to the verbs though. So Olivia, there's only one verb in here actually. Do you know which one it is? The verb, the action word?
Observed.
Observed. There you go. You got it. And then what's the subject, Jonah?
Uh, princess.
No, look at the word observed. Who was it that observed? Who? The soldier. So that's how you find the subject. You ask yourself who or what, okay? Who or what is doing the verb. That'll help you find the subject. Good. Now There is a word here that's wrong. Did you notice that, Olivia? It's spelled wrong. Do you know which one it is? Yeah, okay. Tell us which word it is and then tell us how to spell it.
Two.
Good. How should we spell it?
T-O-O.
Yes, and one more O. That's right. Because it's talking about an uh excessive degree, basically is how they say it. So there, I guess she feels like the soldier was watching her for too long, like a long time. Okay. So TOO is how we spell that. So put a check by homophone. We fixed that. And then Jonah, where's the prepositional phrase?
Uh, does it start at the princess?
No, so here's a clue. Do you see how everything has something on top of it except for the word for? It doesn't have anything on top of
For
it,
too
right?
long?
For too long. There you go. So that's why we wait till the end to find that because it makes it easier. Okay. Good job.
So like always the words that are not marked, we use it as a preposition prepositional phrase, right?
That is right. But you have to do all the other stuff first in order to find it. That's why I skipped it earlier. I skipped it and I went down here to the subject verb pair. Does that make sense, Jonah? So skip it, wait till the very end, and then it'll be easy to find. And it will be the only one that's not marked. So capital is here at the beginning. You probably already know that. And the end mark is just a period. Go ahead and put that in. And that's it. You guys have any other questions about this page? Okay. So we're done with grammar for today. Go ahead and put that away. Okay. Go ahead and get out your binders. And you guys finished writing about King Midas this week. I'm going to take this off for a second. So, and I know there's just two of you today, but do you guys want to read your story about King Midas? Either one of you want to read King Midas? Did you get to finish it yet? Yeah? Or do you want me to read it? I can read it too. Let's see what we got here. I think you both turned it in. I'm just double checking here. Maybe not. Actually, no, I don't see it. Okay, I don't see your homework.
I
Did
didn't
you guys finish it?
I didn't do
I didn't hear that. Say that again.
I didn't do it.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah, I think because I looked in my front pocket, I think like I don't know, maybe I lost my workout. Maybe it's in my notebook somewhere.
Do you have your binder with you? Look inside the pocket of your binder. How about you, Olivia? Did you finish it yet? Okay, because I don't see it. You didn't turn it in yet. So maybe later today you can. Okay. Okay. So, do you want to read it though? Can you read your story? Oh, good. Okay, cool. Yay. Jonah's looking for his. Keep looking for yours, Jonah. And I'm going to have Olivia read her story. So whenever you're ready, Olivia. Got it? Okay. Hold on, Jonah. Hang on. Can you hang on a second, Olivia? Jonah has a question really quick, okay? Go ahead, Jonah.
So I only started like the the first paragraph of it.
Yeah, that was the homework. That's old homework, though. You were supposed to write the second and third paragraphs for today. Okay. So work on that after class today, okay? All right, Olivia, whenever you're ready.
The Golden Touch. There once lived a greedy king, and his name was Midas. He lived in a palace which had been decorated with gold, and every day he wore golden jewelry. He felt dissatisfied. He wanted more gold. Then one day a strange visitor came to King Midas' house. He slowly opened the door. The strange visitor granted him one wish, that everything he touches turns to gold. Everything he touched did turn to gold. His bed, his flowers, which lost their smell. He wanted to get rid of the touch, but he also wanted gold.
Hmm.
He mostly wanted to get rid of the touch. Then the strange visitor arrived and told him to wash his hands in the river. He quickly ran to the river. When he got there, he was out of breath, but he didn't care because he wanted to get rid of the touch. He washed them, and the golden touch was gone.
Yay! Do this for her, Jonah. Woohoo! Good job, Olivia. That was really good. So did you remember to do ly adverbs and who which clauses in there?
I'm not sure. I can't remember if I did a who which clause in the third paragraph.
Okay. Before you turn it in, I want you to look for that, okay? And make sure you put that in there too. So each paragraph should have a ly and a who which, okay? And I think you're missing one more sentence. I think we talked about how he wasn't greedy anymore at the end. Remember, he became grateful and he was generous. So look at your story sequence chart. Remember that we filled out? That's the chart right here. Yeah, this one. Remember this? Did you use this when you wrote your paragraphs, Olivia? Yeah, okay. So each one of these, remember, is a sentence. So some of these things I think you were missing in your last paragraph, and especially this one, king, grateful, and generous. So add another sentence. And then we also talked about how the daughter was not a statue anymore. So make sure you have this part in your paragraph, okay? Do you see it on your on your story sequence chart? You see it on yours? Oh, you didn't write it down.
It's because I did it on my own.
Oh, well, you're supposed to use this. You did a good job, but next time make sure you only use this for writing. Does that make sense? Yeah, because you need to use, these are for your sentences. So you got to make sure to use this when you write your sentences. Okay. So since Jonah, you're not done yet with yours, and Olivia, it sounds like you have to fix a couple things. So I want you guys to keep King Midas in the front pocket until you're done, okay?
Can I read my first paragraph?
You can read your first paragraph, sure.
King Midas was a greedy king. He was so obsessed with gold, he had a gold mansion, a gold table, and even gold wardrobe. which he happily lived in his golden mansion.
Nice.
And then I added because I remembered to do the who which clause.
Good. Tell me the sentence that has a who which clause in it.
Uh, it is
You see it in there?
the fourth sentence,
Can you read it to me?
which he happily lived in his golden mansion.
Nice. Yes. Okay. Keep this in your front pocket because you guys are still working on it. But I want you to get out the next story because we got to move on. Okay. So remember that first tab in your binder that says source texts? Look in that tab and you're going to look for this one called Week 7, Why Opossum Has a Bare Tail. So look for that one. It's going to be 4 pages. It's going to start on page 53 and then 55, 57, and 59. So there's 4 pages for week 7. It's right behind that first tab called Source Text tab. And you also need a piece of lined paper. So get one of those, a clean one. And then when you're all set, give me a thumbs up.
I'm gonna go get a sheet of lined paper.
Okay, we'll wait for you. Okay, I see that. Good. Double thumbs up.
Yeah, so like earlier when we were doing the quotation marks, I
Yeah.
I I did like quotation marks in the chat.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was cool. I saw that actually. That's pretty smart. So, have you ever seen an opossum before? No?
You mean in real life?
Yeah, in real life or a picture of one before?
I think I have.
Okay. It's an animal. We're going to talk about it. We're going to look at a picture in a minute here.
It's kind of like a mouse, but like a big
Yes.
mouse.
Yes,
With
big.
a big
And
tail.
yes, and do you know their tail doesn't have any hair on it? It looks like a giant rat's tail. That's
Yeah.
how it looks. So this is a made-up story. This is a fantasy, or another word for it is a fable. Kind
Fable.
of like Aesop's fable. Remember when we talked about those
Oh
before?
yeah.
Yeah. So
In the
this is,
beginning?
in the beginning. So this is about a made-up story of why the opossum does not have any hair on its tail. That word bare, B-A-R-E, means no hair.
Yeah,
Or like if you're barefoot, it means you don't have any
yeah.
shoes on, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
or socks.
Olivia, did you have something to say?
One time, so we were on our way to Florida,
Okay.
and me and my sister were racing our dad on this track, and we saw an opossum, and me and my sister started sprinting.
Away from it, probably. Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of creepy looking because of their tail, I think. It's just so big. But they look like a big rat's tail, huh? Ew. They're kind of creepy to me. Anyway, this is a made-up story about that. But before we get too far into this, I want you to look for the blue page first. So go ahead and get out that blue page from your little stack of papers there. It looks like this. You guys have it? I see that. Good, good. You have yours, Olivia? It's from that little section that you took out of your binder. So you should take out 4 pages for week 7. I see it. There it is. Okay, good. And take out all the next one too. Make sure you take out all 4 of those. Should take out the checklist. Excuse me. There you go. I think you got it now. Don't forget to close up your rings, okay? All right. And we're going to start with the blue one. So go ahead and get that one on top of your stuff. Put it on top. Do you see at the very top of the page, it says banned words list dash verbs. So banned, B-A-N-N-E-D, means you can't use these words anymore in your writing for my class. I know. These are like illegal words now. And it's not because they're bad words. I'm not talking about any bad words, but I'm going to talk to you about some words that are too common, meaning they're a little boring. We're going to get rid of the boring words, okay, you guys? And we're going to focus on some better words when you write your stories. So the first box right here, see how there's that diagonal line there? On the top of that, I want you to put the word say. And then under that, I want you to put the word said. So it says say, said. And the reason that line is there, it's kind of like if you've ever been to the beach before and you see a sign that shows a picture of a dog and then it's circle and a line through it. We've talked about that before. It means like no dogs allowed, right? So these are not allowed anymore. Jonah?
So like at the top one is like in the future, like I will say this, and then and like when we already said it, it's like, oh, I just said that.
Yep, good. That's a good example. So what is another way we could use a word that means the same thing? What's another word for said? Like if you have a character saying something, maybe it's how they say it. Like maybe they shouted, right? Instead of said, we could say, I want you to write the word shouted right here. So what we're doing is making a new list of the words that we can use. So we can't use say said, but shouted is okay. What's another word you could say? Go ahead, Jonah.
Screamed.
Okay, screamed. If they're really mad or scared or something. Screamed. You guys see that okay? I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Screamed. What about if they said it in a quiet way? Jonah?
Whispered.
Good. Whispered. If they're asking a question, we could say that they questioned. Like if King Midas is asking the strange visitor, you could put it like this. King Midas questioned, how do I get rid of this golden touch? See how we can use that instead of said. We could say he questioned, or he declared. Or remember way back when we read The Bald Man and the Fly? How did he say get away, fly? Remember he said it a certain way. Remember what he did? Olivia.
Angrily.
Angrily, yeah, that's true, but that's an ly word. I'm looking for how he said it. Like remember, go ahead, Jonah. Do you remember? What happened to you? I'm thinking of the word mumbled. Remember how they said he mumbled, get away, fly. Remember that? Get away, fly. So that's a way to say something. Or yelled is another one. All right, that's a pretty good list. Oh, there's one more. Let's put this in. This is pretty good. It's replied. When you answer somebody, you can reply to them. He replied. Jonah, are you there? Okay, keep your camera on. I need to see you. Are you writing these down? Okay. Now, one more set of words here. On the next one over, I want you to put see. Hold on. Let me write that again. see and saw. So we can't use that anymore. That's a tough one because we tend to use saw a lot. Like, King Midas saw the flowers and he saw the chair and the table and all that. You can't use saw anymore, not because it's a bad word, but because it's boring. What's another way to say saw if you saw something? Jonah?
Looked.
Yes, looked. I think today we heard the word observed too, right? We could use that one. Observed, we saw that in our grammar book. Or watched. Or maybe spied, like you spied something, you found something. Ooh, found is a good one too, actually. Found. What is it called what's another way to say found? Like if you found something, can you think of another word like that? Jonah?
Collect.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, except for that's not really the same as saw. I was thinking of like discovered. When you discover something, you found it. Like I discovered my missing ear pod. Admired is one. Gazed. If you gaze at the star, you gazed up, you looked at the stars, gazed. That's a pretty good list. So here's the thing. Do you have a thesaurus at your house? Do you guys know what a thesaurus is? No, that's okay. Because you can use it on the computer too, but you have to check with your parents. So if you are writing your story and you want to think of a better word for saw, but you don't like any of these, you can go to Google and type in what's another word for saw, or go to thesaurus.com and type in what's another word for saw. But ask your parents first because they can help you figure that out. Okay. There's lots of good words out there you can use instead of say, said, and see, saw. And if your parents are okay with the idea, it's nice to have a book. It's called a thesaurus and it looks like a dictionary. It's big. And instead of it in defining words, it has words like multiple meanings, or not multiple meanings, but other words that mean the same thing. So those are kind of good to use. So you could look it up in a book under S for saw. You don't want to look up the word saw like you're going to saw a piece of wood, right? That's a different saw. We're talking about seeing with your eyes, right? So you got to make sure you're looking at the right word to find a better word. Okay, that's all we're going to do for this page for now. So the next thing I want you to do is get out your lined paper. Work on that next. And go ahead and put your name here and the date. Today is 12/5/24. Your name is here, okay? And then you're going to skip a line and we're going to write the title. It's kind of a long title, so start over here. Y, opossum. Hold on. Has a bare tail. And right underneath that, we're going to put story, sequence, chart. We did this for King Midas. It's going to look a lot like that one. So after you write all that down, skip a line, and then I want you to kind of draw a line down, but kind of in the middle, but a little bit to the red line, kind of like about right there and about that long. Remember how we start with a line like that, okay? It doesn't have to be perfect, but try to make it a little bit closer to the red line. Okay. And remember, like last time for King Midas, we wrote down our Roman numerals and we got our outline ready. So right here on the right side, you're going to put a Roman numeral 1. It looks like an I, remember? And then we're going to go down, move over a little bit, and just do 1, 2, 3 like that. You have to leave a little space right here, okay? Make sure you leave a little space for the 1, 2, 3 part. You move it over a little bit. It helps keep you organized. So make sure you try to line it up as best you can. Okay, try to make it neat. After you put 1, 2, 3, you're going to skip a line. I'll give you some time to finish this, so don't worry, okay? This is going to be Roman numeral 2. And then again, 1, 2, 3, and then skip a line, Roman numeral 3, 1, 2, 3. So once you got that, give me a thumbs up. Okay, good. Okay, good. So the next step is to draw those lines across, and we're going to make boxes here. So right on top of Roman numeral 1, you're going to trace that blue line. Remember how we did that last time like this? All the way to your edge of your paper. So start on the red line and go all the way to the edge. And then do that right on top of Roman numeral 2 like that. And then right on top of Roman numeral 3 like that. And then at the very bottom, wherever your bottom line is, you're going to just follow that one all the way across. It's okay if you have extra lines down there. And now you should have 6 boxes. Thumbs up if you see 6 boxes on your paper. Good. You see 6 boxes there, Jonah? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what I have. Okay, good. Yes, yes. Good, Jonah. You got yours too? Yes. Oh, that's great. Good job, Olivia. Okay, now we're going to start filling this in. And on this side, in these boxes, we're writing the sequence of a story. We talked about this last week, or I don't remember, a couple weeks ago. And remember we were talking about Kung Fu Panda? I always like to talk about Kung Fu Panda. And remember how we talked about the opening scene of the very first movie? He's playing with the action figures and we get to know the characters, right? Because that's how we start a story. So who remembers what words we're going to put here in the first box to introduce the story? What do we talk about first? Do you guys remember? No? Olivia?
The characters.
Yes. So we're going to have to write 2 words here. So you're going to have to write kind of small. Characters. And then do you remember what the other word was we put with characters? Do you remember, Jonah?
I think it was settings.
Yes, good. Setting. Not settings with an S, but just setting like that. So characters and setting. So if you need to use the next line down, that's okay, because it is kind of small right there. Every good story starts with introducing the characters, because if you get right into the middle of the story and you don't know who the characters are, it's really confusing. The other night, my husband started a movie without me. I was busy doing something, and he started watching a movie. And then when I came in to join him and I sat down on the couch, and it was kind of like partway through the movie. And it was one of those movies where this guy like teleports somewhere else and he's confused and he's lost and he's trying to figure out what's wrong. And I was so confused myself. I'm like, who's that guy? And why is he there? And how come he's confused? And who's that? And my husband was like, let me just start the movie over. I can't even explain it to you. So you can't just jump in the middle of a story, right? You have to start at the beginning, and getting to know the characters is really, really important. Okay. So we ask the question, who, go ahead and write this down, who, and then where. That's the setting. Where are they? Like this guy got teleported to another planet, and I didn't recognize the planet, so I didn't get the context of what was happening in the movie. And so anyway, that's really important to start with, is who the characters are and where they are. Good. Yes. So we're going to focus on, well, let me talk about this box. Let me see what time we got. Okay, we're good. What happens in the middle of a story? What happens after we introduce the characters? What happens in the middle? What do we put here? Jonah, do you remember?
I think like we put like where's the setting and stuff, like where's the place, what happened.
That's here, but then in the middle of the story, like in Kung Fu Panda, remember he's battling that bad guy. This is where we talk about the problem / conflict. Every good story actually has a problem. Like this guy in the movie that got lost, or he was confused. He didn't know what happened to him or where he was. So that's a problem, right? Kung Fu Panda, he's battling the bad guy, and the bad guy's like beating him up really bad. So they're having this epic battle, right? A lot of times the problem could be that someone's lost or someone's fighting somebody else, right? So this is where we ask the question, what? What is the character's problem? What does the character need? What does the character want? What is the character saying? All of those what questions really help us make the middle of our story. And then at the end, remember when we drew the little mountain and the guy at the top of the mountain? And it was like if he fell one way, he would land on those spikes. Remember we drew that little picture? And if he fell the other way, he'd land on the cloud. Yeah, no, you don't remember that, Jonah? Let me show you. This was from King Midas. Remember this picture we did?
I think I wasn't there.
Oh, you need to watch the video. You need to watch the recording.
Okay.
No wonder you're confused. Go back and watch that, because that's going to help you, okay, Jonah? But anyway, down here, this is called the climax. And then we have / resolution. And this is how we answer the question, how? How do they solve the problem? That word resolution, do you see the word solution in there? That's how they solved it. So the climax and resolution is how they solved their problem in the story. Today, we're going to just focus on that first box, the characters and setting of this new story that we have. And we're kind of running out of time. So after you write that, we're going to jump right into the story and read it. Okay. Zoom in a little so you can see that better. Here we go. Okay, once you got that written down, go ahead and get out your story next. It's called Why Opossum Has a Bare Tail. It's on page 55, okay? I'm going to read it, but I want you to pay attention to who the characters are and where they are in the story. Jonah?
I realized there's a picture in the back, just like the King Midas one.
Yes, if you look on the back, there's an opossum right there, and he looks mad, huh? And he doesn't like the way his tail is. So let's find out what happens. I'm going to read, and you guys follow along on your page and think about the characters in the setting. Long ago, when the first animals roamed the land and all of them could talk, Opossum had a long, white, furry tail. So I'm going to stop right there for a second, because can animals talk to each other like us? Well, I mean, they can bark and meow and things like that, but they're not talking like English, right? They're not saying words. No. So we know this is a fantasy. And also, we also know that opossums don't have a big white furry tail. They don't. It's like a rat's tail. Okay, I'm going to keep going. He was proud of his tail, but one afternoon he spied Raccoon preening himself, means cleaning himself, on a branch of a tree. Raccoon's tail, with its lustrous rings, looked so elegant in the setting sun that Opossum became jealous and wished for such a tail. So he waddled over to Raccoon's tree, looked up, and asked politely, "How did you get those pretty rings on your tail?" Because raccoons have stripes on their tails, right? Okay, so he wants his tail to look like that. Now, Raccoon was a haughty and mischievous character. That means he was prideful and tricky, who looked down upon Opossum. Raccoon determined to play a cruel trick on him. "Well, I wrapped cedar bark around my tail here and here and here and here," he demonstrated. "Then I placed my tail in the coals of a fire, and the fur between the bark turned black, but the rest remained white, as you can see." I don't know about you, but I know that bark is wood and wood burns. So I don't think this is going to be a good idea, but let's find out what happens. Thanking Raccoon, Opossum rushed away to gather some cedar bark. He wrapped strips around his tail just as Raccoon had instructed. Then he went to the clearing in the forest where many of the animals were enjoying a big bonfire. When the fire died, go to the backside, down, he turned and placed his tail in the red hot coals. However, the coals were still so hot that Opossum's fur and the bark caught fire. His tail was burning like a torch. He panicked and jumped into the pond to put out the flames. When Opossum saw his poor naked tail, he wailed and moaned. Although he waited for years for his lovely white tail fur to grow back, it never did, because the tail was too badly burnt. It remained bare for the rest of his life, and all his children, and all his children's children, and all his children's children's children have had bare tails ever since. The end. So it's a kind of a silly story. Obviously, the moral of the story is to be happy with what you have, right? He should have just been fine with his tail the way it was, with all that white fluffy fur. But no, he was jealous and he wanted a tail like raccoons. And this is what happened. Poor guy. All right, let's go back to your list here. Who is the first character? I'm going to ask Jonah this question, then Olivia, I'm going to ask you the next one. But who is the first character we learn about in this story? Who's the first one?
The opossum.
The opossum. So let's put that down. I'm going to use a capital O because we're going to call him Opossum. Okay. And can you think of a couple words to describe how he was in the beginning? What was he like in the beginning? Go ahead, Jonah. And then I'll have Olivia do the next one.
he was proud of his tail.
Yes, he was proud of his tail. So let's put proud. And then maybe, what's another good word we could put there? Maybe was he kind of greedy? I know they didn't use that word greedy, but he was kind of greedy like that. I think I'm going to use greedy again. He just had that attitude, like my tail is the best. And then this is for Olivia. Let's tell a little bit about his tail. What was his tail like in the beginning of the story? I'm going to hear Olivia say it. Before it burned, what kind of tail did he have?
It was like furry and white.
White, furry tail. Go ahead and write that down because we got to tell the story about how his tail was white and furry in the beginning. It was, I imagine it was like fluffy, almost like a cat's tail. You know how they get really fluffy? Yeah. So after you write that, Jonah, I want you to think about what is the next character that we learn about in the story? Who's next? He sees somebody in the tree, remember? At the beginning. Who does he see in the tree?
Raccoon.
Yes. So let's.
I already had it in my head. It's just that I need to finish writing.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Am I going too fast? I'm trying to finish this before we end class, but I'll slow down a second. You're right, though. Raccoon is next. And when you're ready, Jonah, tell me about Raccoon's tail. What did Opossum think about his tail?
It's like um, it's it's like pretty. Like it has like white a white kind of ring, black, white, black, white, black.
Yes. So he thought it was pretty. That's true. And
Yep.
it had rings. Those are called rings when it had like stripes on it, right? So what is let's put pretty. I like that. Pretty. And then let's put rings. So his tail had pretty rings on it. Have you guys ever seen a raccoon's tail? Maybe a picture of one or a raccoon? Not really? Yeah, you have, Olivia? Okay. Um, it is kind of cool how their tails are. It's not really white and black, it's kind of more like brown and black. But in this story, he made it sound like it was kind of white and black. Maybe there are some those types of raccoons out there. Okay, and then Opossum discovers Raccoon, right? And he's going to look up into the tree. So I'm going to do an abbreviation here for Opossum. I'm going to put an O with a circle around it. Almost looks like a donut. So I want you to put that for number 3, but that's an O with a circle. And then up here, Jonah and Olivia, circle the O in opossum in the title. And that's our clue. That's what that means. Okay. O with a circle means opossum. That way we can not use a word for his name, but just use a symbol. And then I'm going to do an up arrow because he looks up, right? Into a tree. And I'm going to have you guys draw like a little Christmas tree right here. Like that. You could probably draw a better tree than me, but kind of a Christmas tree like that. He looks up into the tree. And then Olivia, when you're ready, what does Opossum ask Raccoon at that point? Because Raccoon's in the tree and he's looking up and he asks him a question. You remember what the question was? Jonah knows, but I want to hear Olivia say it.
How did he,
Yeah.
how,
You okay? A little cough.
how did he get um a tail like that?
How did you get
a
that?
tail like that?
Say that one more time.
How did you get a tail like that?
How did you get a tail like that? Because he thought it was pretty, huh? What's another word we could use for pretty? You guys have another idea? Jonah, what's another word for pretty?
Beautiful?
Beautiful. Is that what you were going to say, Olivia? Okay, so what if we did this? Let's put quotes, because remember those little things we talked about in grammar? And we're going to put how, comma, and then we're going to put beautiful instead of pretty because we just said pretty. How beautiful, and then tail. How, and then put a question mark and then the quotation marks like that. How did you get that beautiful tail? That's what Opossum asks Raccoon when he sees him in the tree. Okay, your homework this week is to write the first paragraph, just the first paragraph for why Opossum has a bare tail. So you don't need a title yet. You're going to leave that blank. But I want you to look at your checklist. Next, right here, page 59. Everything is the same, but there's extra stuff on here. So look where it says dress ups right here. You know how we always have ly adverb and then we have who, which. Notice there's a new one and it says strong verb. That means a word that's a better word than say, said, and see, saw. And we already made a list on that blue page of words we can use. So these words right here on this list are called strong verbs. So instead of saying he saw a raccoon, you could say he looked up at the raccoon, or he spied a raccoon in the tree, or he admired the raccoon in the tree. Any of these words is considered a strong verb. And do not use see or saw or say, said. So you're going to underline one of those in your paragraph. So you're going to underline one ly adverb, you're going to underline who or which, and you're going to underline one strong verb, which is one of the words that you have there instead of saw. Look here where it says check for banned words. Look how it says say, said, see, saw. That means you can't use those anymore in your writing. Okay, do you have a question, Jonah?
Someone dress up like so why does it have like I know those are boxes by ly, who, which, clouds, and strong verb, but what are those other boxes behind it?
Okay, so like this week, you're only going to write one paragraph. Oops. So when you write your paragraph and you put in an ly adverb, you're going to put a check in that box because that means you're done with it. It's like you're checking it off. And then let's say you come up with a good sentence that has who or which, and you write it in your paragraph, then you can check that box for paragraph 1. And then the last one, the strong verb, let's say you use the word spied. He spied the raccoon in the tree, underline it, and then you can put a check mark there. These are for paragraphs 2 and 3, and we're not doing those yet. So you're just going to focus on that first row of boxes here. Next week, when we do the rest of the story, you can check those other boxes. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Any other questions before you go? All right, you guys, great job today. Have a good one, a good week.
Bye.
Bye. I'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.